and expansion of commercial. I forget the numbers.
Redevelopment is 10, and expansion of existing commercial is
12.
12.
Sounds great.
Does anyone have any questions? Any of the commission members have any questions?
No.
These recommendations are a 2-year cycle, are they not?
That's correct.
Okay.
Gina, are you getting anything from the public? Any comments from the public at this point?
Not yet.
Okay.
I received no emails related to this public hearing at all, or any phone calls related to that. What is that noise in the background?
Okay. Somebody's doing their laundry. Seeing none, do I hear a motion to approve the recommendations as set forth in the resolution 2020-2? -2. That purpose is to for the allocation of the available water and sewer for the categories. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. And I'm also going to do a roll call. I'm sorry.
Hey, Roxanne,
Yes, sir.
should we wait until we get down to item number 6?
I'm sorry. You know what? We do that in the. I'm sorry. I'm ahead of myself.
Let's make sure. Okay. We just need
I'm
to
ahead of myself.
the public hearing, and then we can go into the Pledge of
Yes.
Allegiance. No worries.
Thank you, John.
No worries.
Okay. So we will vote on that, like John said, on item number 6.
Mhm.
I will, is there a move? Do we need to move to adjourn the public hearing?
That would be Tom's
I believe
call.
so.
The chairperson can call a conclusion to it. I don't think we need a formal vote to adjourn.
Okay. At this point, I'm going to conclude the public hearing. We'll go on to our regular commission meeting. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to
To the flag
of the
of the United States of America,
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one
One
nation,
nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty
and
and
justice for all.
justice for all.
Thank you. The next thing is the approval of the minutes. We will be approving the minutes from February the 24th, 2020. Our March 30th meeting was canceled due to COVID-19. Are there any additions or corrections at this time to the minutes of February 24th?
I thought they accurately captured everything that we discussed and how the meeting went. I would move to approve the minutes of February 24th.
Is there a second? Okay, we have, it has been moved and seconded. We approve the minutes of February 24th, 2020. At this point in time, since we are doing Facebook Live and other things, I'm going to do a roll call vote. Lindy?
I abstained, so I didn't attend the meeting.
Okay. Judy?
I approve.
Okay. Scott?
I approve.
Leslie?
Sorry, I had muted myself. Aye.
Thank you, Leslie. Bill?
I concur.
And I for Roxanne. Okay. Minutes are approved. Our next order of business are citizens' comments for things that are not on the agenda. Do we have any citizen comments, Gina?
We do not.
Okay. As you know, this is also streaming on Facebook Live, so if we have anyone who has any comments, they could weigh in. The next item on the agenda are the Frederick and Carroll County planners. Do we have a Carroll County planner here? Is Mary or Hannah here?
No, but they did reach out to me. Mary told me that currently in Carroll County, they're not having any planning commissions and no rezoning requests are being heard currently, and that she would keep me abreast of anything that changes. I did not hear from Mr. Goodfellow at all in the recent month related to this meeting.
Okay, a question for you, John, concerning Carroll County. You
Go
are
ahead.
keeping abreast of that rezoning that is up there above Harrison Lizier, correct?
Yes, ma'am. And
Okay.
that was one of the reasons why she also reiterated the same words, basically saying that no rezoning requests have been heard. So I'm still keeping my finger on the pulse of that.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
We'll move right into item 6, introductions and discussion. The first item under that is resolution 2020-2. The allocation of water and sewer capacity yields to the allocation categories, which was our the public hearing we had prior to the meeting. Are there any other comments at this time?
I think the only comment I have is a question to Barney. Barney, I'm sure that you prepared your recommendations in support of potential development, the progress of it that we might expect over the next 2 years. Is that fairly accurate? Otherwise, what was the rationale for the changes that you were advocating?
Yeah, that's very much accurate. Again, we had 40,000 is our largest chunk, 40,000 gallons in the downtown or the priority area. And we're using more out of the 2 other categories, expansion of commercial and redevelopment. So, and those were dwindling down with the allocation. So it made sense to put, extra water in those categories.
All right, good. Good.
Any other questions or comments? Now do I hear a motion to approve the recommendations? Bill, you want to move again?
Sure. I would move to approve the town engineer's recommendations for changes in the water allocations.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Who was that?
Lindy.
Lindy, thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the town engineer's recommendations for the water allocations. I will do a roll call vote for that. Lindy?
Say aye.
Judy?
Yep.
Scott?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Leslie?
Aye.
And myself, aye. Okay, motion carries. The resolution will go to the town council. Okay, next on the agenda is S 19-0010 J&J Trash. It's the final site plan for the Twin Arch Business Park, lot 18A. Site development for storage of dumpster and trucks. Do we have the applicant here?
Ron Thompson is in to represent the applicant.
Okay,
Chair, you can hear me, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
yeah,
So I can run over this real quick. This was, again, a site plan that was brought to you in the past for concept plan approval. I think it was back in January, which got a unanimous vote on that. I think Ron is going to try to share a new layout of here's the landscaping plan. If you want, I'll let Ron sort of explain what's going where, and you can kind of take that over. If you guys have any questions related to the plan, let me know.
Thank you. The final site plan is the same as the concept plan the Planning Commission has previously reviewed and approved. The only difference now between concept plan stage to final site plan is really details and charts. This is due to the level of stormwater management that we have to go to in order to get a concept plan approval. Our stormwater management does have on-site stormwater management as well as being part of the overall industrial park stormwater management. We have one driveway onto Backacre Circle, and again, this portion of Backacre Circle is on the other side of the U from all of the residential development over on near M&M Welding and Keller Brothers, so forth, and the new Ultimate Electric building that's being constructed. The building, we had an architectural elevation in the building. You can see that they are both office and maintenance for their facility on it. Peak hour trips are minimal because only 11, simply because they travel onto and out of the site in non-peak hour traffic. 3 or 4 in the morning, they leave, come back 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
Okay.
We have all of our county approvals: stormwater management, landscaping, forest conservation, grading. And hopefully with commission approval, the applicant is anxious to get started. The town council has approved the public works agreement, which of course includes all of the approved cost estimates by Barney and stormwater management. I'll pause for any questions.
Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I do. Did this go to streets and roads? Because Patty Walbosch brought up, that what's going back on back there is of a concern to streets and roads.
Site plans do not go to streets and roads. When the industrial subdivision was done, both at the Goddard School and at the new residential Brittany Manor townhomes, each of them had to have a traffic study that was completed. And that traffic study had to include not only those developments, but also the build out of the industrial park. The traffic being generated by this development is actually less than what was accounted for in the traffic study.
Ron, it's also on the south side of the loop. So it's closer to an exit and an entrance that would be totally,
yes,
totally separate from the traffic that's coming into the north side of those locations.
Madam Chair, may I be recognized?
Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Pat Rockenberg, Mayor. To echo Lindy's concern, Barney, I'd ask you to speak to it. While it hasn't been our procedure to run some of these things by streets and roads, it was requested. So how can we make that happen? Where are we at in this process?
So what we've done is we've added streets and roads liaison to the distribution of plans. And so they could take that and go to the streets and roads and, give it a review themselves. So that's the change that we've made.
Okay, this is relatively, we're returning to something we used to do. So Lindy is spot on. I don't want to hold up this process with that because there was a traffic study, but going forward, and again, I think it's a new process. Lindy is correct. We need to make sure Streets and Roads has some time to review this. Streets and Roads may not even be meeting on a regular schedule, and it has had levels of review, so that does give us a confidence level. But going forward, we do want to include that. So thank you, Lindy, for bringing it up.
Thanks, Pat, and I agree. I don't want to hold this up either, but I do remember Patty specifically asking to be included.
And again, this plan was in motion and already to the final stage prior to them putting that request in, and we are moving forward with giving that information to Streets and Roads as far in advance as possible. Hey, Ron, I do have a question real quick. Can you get back to the elevation?
Yes.
So I just want to mention that the only signage that's been proposed is the building mounted signage on the front elevation, detail 3, west elevation. There is no signage that was approved or submitted for any kind of road sign. Is that correct?
That is correct. They don't have off-site traffic visiting
Okay.
in a business setting.
I just wanted to make sure that they knew that there was no additional signage or anything above and beyond what's shown here for the elevations.
Correct. If they chose to in the future, they would have to return to the town with an application for it.
That's correct. My other question too is related to the forest conservation easement, AP 180017. Has that been finalized and recorded?
Well, I wanted to discuss the conditions and recommendations there and go through. The quick answer is no, but I want to give everybody an update.
Okay.
Is that I would hope that in terms of recommendation, since we have our stormwater management approval letter, that the A recommendation can be deleted. I spoke with the county, both the health department and Clay Black and Development Review as to where the plat status is. Due to COVID-19, they've been there for well over a month, but staff is working from their home. So it does delay everything that gets processed. Clay basically said, I'm the only guy in the office, Ron. I'll go try to see if I can find it. I talked with Lee Broderick at Health Department. He didn't have it. We found out today it's sitting in a bin to go to the Health Department for signature. So and in terms of lot 18A. In terms of the forest conservation plat, that again is also with the county. Now, must be moving forward because the assessor called me today asking for final forest conservation areas to be divided between the two parcels on the remainder lot, which they're going. But again, both of those two plats, it's a slow process right now because of COVID-19. It's out of my hands. I can call and try to get people to focus on it, but when you have just one person trying to push everything through, it's got its own timetable, unfortunately.
Okay, we have one question coming in from the citizens. It says they're asking on how will this affect traffic on 27 South and 70?
It will not have any impact on the traffic. The traffic study noted for the entire industrial park that the increase in traffic for the industrial park, all of the lots in the industrial park to be developed, as well as Brittany Manor, would raise the traffic less than 2%, which is why all of this development was able to be approved under that traffic study. So it has a marginal impact. And again, this particular development, I would say, has a zero impact because
the trucks leaving the site are early in the morning, well before 5 o'clock, before you get any traffic in the intersection. And they return before 3 o'clock, well before you start to get the PM peak hour movement.
Okay, thank you, Ron. Does anyone else have any questions, concerns?
Madam Chair, this is Councilman Munder. I got a question for Ron Thompson, if you allow it.
Yeah.
Nothing bad. Hey, Ron, can you flip back to the plat drawing for a second, please? The first page of this, in the upper right-hand corner, you have the site plan where it fits into the overall site plan. Is that open space behind it? Will that remain open space, or will that be developed, that big open parcel?
That open parcel is a combination, about 50% forest conservation and about 50% remaining dockfall farm.
Okay. All right. Now, you answered my question. So there'll eventually be trees and stuff, maybe blocking any visual impairment, whatever, from the residential area, back to that area?
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, he's planning on a landscape project.
Back in that way. Okay, cool. That's it. I was going to ask if it wasn't maybe some trees in the back, but if that's going to be hidden from the residential eventually, that's fine. Thank you, Ron.
Madam Chairman.
Yes.
John Breeding. I just wanted to respond to Ron and the recommendation number A. Again, as I spoke to Ron this morning, he just received his stormwater management approval letter today. Hence, that's why the staff report reads as it does. And again, I don't think we should strike that from the actual recommendations. I think it should stay in there and just contingent to make sure that those approvals have been approved prior to me signing off on a grading permit. So I don't think removing that has any merit. Again, I have not seen the letter in my office. So I know he spoke about it today, that he received it today. I have not received my copy. So I just want to steer away from that to make sure that we're looking to safeguard the town, basically.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, John. I tend to agree.
If I may, the stormwater management letter for lot 18A was provided on March 3rd, which was used then for the PWA agreement with the town council. The letter I received today was for lot 17, the adjacent lot, which I have the planning commission next month.
Okay, that's not what you told me earlier today. I don't think.
No, yes. 17.
But I don't think it doesn't. So if you have your approval letter, it's fine. It shouldn't be an issue. But go ahead, Madam Chairman.
All right. Any other questions from the commission members?
Madam Chair, if I may make one additional request.
Yes.
I know the concept plan approval talked about that they wanted to have the plats completed before the site plan was signed. With COVID-19, it's a wild card as to when all of that would be done. Everything has been passed through the town and now signed by the town and with the county for processing. So I would hope that the site plan, J&J Trash is anxious to start their work out on the site in order to complete it before the end of the year. And we would appreciate it if the Planning Commission would not make the site plan contingent on those two, since they're already signed and submitted to the county for recordation. That would allow us to get moving forward.
Because this will still have to go in front of Carroll County Health Department for approval as well. Site plan milers, right? Ron?
Yeah, I guess it goes up there, yes.
For the fire protection engineer, I'm not sure about that.
That needs to be crossed off. Yeah.
Ron, I understand, and you know, we're not trying. We don't want to try to hold them up, but if we don't have them in hand, I'm reluctant to remove any of the conditions. If we have them, great. If we,
right.
But I'm just not ready to do that. I just want it. I'd like the conditions to remain in the recommendation. I know we might have some of them, but I'm not, for the town's protection, I don't want to take any of them off.
I would agree.
Madam Chair.
Yes, John?
Yeah, so I can extend, I can try to, we can accept the Mylars to be submitted for routing and signatures to make sure they're matching what's been proposed and approved up to this point. And then I can speak with Mr. Black and Lee Broderick. I might be able to expedite some of those additional signatures if possibly. I don't mind
Okay.
acting as a courier between the two, allowing for maybe a quicker response time. But again, as Ron spoke, most of the employees in the county office building and in the health department are working remotely. So it's down to those Mylars being delivered to their house for review with the drawings so that they can review them to then be able to sign off on them. So it is a timely process, and it could easily take them a day or more to get that expedited, but that's just a possibility. I can't say that they would even allow it to happen, but I can reach out to both of the parties involved and see if I could do some expediting there.
I appreciate that, John. We're all working in a like, I don't want to use unprecedented because it's used all the time, but this is just unusual circumstances, and we kind of have to be flexible and go with that. So I'd appreciate anything that you can expedite. John, thank you. Are there any
Madam
other
Chair,
comments?
yeah, Madam Chair and John, one other thing I'd like to make sure that we go ahead and follow up on is to go ahead and reach out to Streets and Roads Commission and share with them our discussion tonight and the additional details that Ron shared with us. I think that responds to some of their concerns, but let's make sure that they're aware of everything that we heard tonight in terms of the impact of this new development. I think it will be modest at best in terms of their larger concern on the north side of the development, but let's make sure they're aware.
I will do so.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments, questions at this time? Seeing none, do I hear a motion? From any of the commissioners?
Okay, are you entertaining, Madam Chair, a conditional approval motion?
Yes, I mean, yes.
I can read the recommendation if you want at the bottom.
Okay.
Planning Commission conditionally approving, this is my recommendation, Planning Commission conditionally approving of the final site plan of J&J Trash Services LLC located on lot 18A, section 4 of the Twin Arch Business Park. Location of their corporate office, vehicle repair and maintenance and storage of empty dumpsters subject to all town and county agency approvals, and the following action items. A, all town and county comments have been addressed. Carroll County Stormwater Management shall be addressed prior to a grading permit being approved and signed off by the town of Mount Airy staff. B, provide any and all legal documents, PWAs, and bonding prior to the grading permit, building permit approval. C, the final recordation of amended plat AP 180017, Twin Arch Business Park, Section 4, Forest Conservation Easements, E, H, J, K, L, and Lot 8 and 9A. D, the approval of amended plat AP 19-0029, Twin Arch Business Park, Section 4, Lot 18A, additional acreage to be added to Lot 18 to support the needs of J&J Trash Services.
At this point in time, do I have any motion from the commissioners for to approve the conditional approval of the plan? We need a motion. Or we
Okay,
can't go on.
I'll make the motion. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I move that the Planning Commission conditionally approve the final site plan for J&J Trash Services LLC located on Lot 18A, Section 4 of Twin Arch Business Park, which is the location of its corporate office, vehicle repair and maintenance, and the storage of empty dumpsters, subject to all town and county agency comments and requirements, and the following action items. A, all of the town comments have been addressed. Carroll County Stormwater Management shall be addressed prior to a grading permit being approved and signed off by Town of Mount Airy staff. B, to provide any and all legal documents, PWA and bonding prior to grading permit, building permit approval. C, the final recordation of amended plat AP 180017, Twin Arch Business Park, Section 4, Forest Conservation Extinguishment, EHJKL and lots 8 and 9A. D, the approval of amended plat AP 190029, Twin Arch Business Park, Section 4, Lot 18A. Additional acreage to be added to Lot 18 to support the needs of J&J Trash Service.
Is there a second?
Yes, I second.
It's been moved and seconded that we recommend approval of the Planning Commission's staff's conditional approval and the conditions as read. I will, all those in favor, I will be doing a roll call vote.
Can I ask
Lindy?
who the second was? I'm sorry, Roxanne. Who was the second?
Lindy.
Lindy?
Lindy. Okay, I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Okay, I'll proceed with the roll call vote. Lindy?
Aye.
Judy?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Leslie?
Aye.
Rob, and myself, aye. Okay, it has unanimous approval, conditional approval.
Hey,
Awesome.
Ron, thank you.
Thank you, John. The next item for business is Chick-fil-A S-19-0036. It's a concept site plan for presentation and recommendations. Ridgeville Business Center, Section I, Lot 1, which is the current location of the Pizza Hut. This is, do I have the, anyone from Chick-fil-A here that would like to speak first?
Yeah.
Yes, I just want to make one adjustment, I'm sorry, to the staff report that went out to most everybody except for Roxanne. I did have the engineer as the incorrect engineer. What will go in the record will have Bowler Engineering, 901 Delaney Valley Road, Suite 801, Towson, Maryland, 21204. And Andrew Stein is with Bowler Engineering. We have Brooks Leahy, the attorney for Chick-fil-A, and we have Joe Caligara with their traffic engineer.
Okay,
And we have Dan Haney also from Bowler.
all righty. So we'll start with the engineer.
Yep. So this is Andrew. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
we can.
thank you.
Well, great. Good evening, all. Madam Chairwoman, as well as the rest of the commission. Appreciate you taking the time to hear our presentation. On behalf of myself and the folks on the team here, as well as Chick-fil-A, appreciate the flexibility and the chance to kind of do this virtually. So we're all trying to figure this out. So please bear with me, and happy to answer any questions after I get through this. So as I guess as Mr. John Breeding had said, we have myself with Bowler as well as Dan Haney. We are the civil engineer. The developer applicant is Chick-fil-A. So representing Chick-fil-A is the local development manager for this region. His name is Brent Edmiston, as well as, again, Brooks Leahy, land use attorney, and Joe Caligara with the traffic group. So yeah, as was stated, the site the site in question, or the site that we are referencing, is located right here. Assuming all familiar, but just to point it out for the record, at the intersections of Ridge, South Main, and Ridgeside Drive. Location, located around similar uses directly across the street being the McDonald's, and to the rear adjacent to it, the existing Taco Bell. And again, as was stated, this is the existing Pizza Hut site that's been in operation since roughly, I believe, 1986. Presenting here the illustrative site plan. Would just like to kind of take you on a tour and just explain some of the site features here that are proposed on site. So traffic would would enter off of Ridgeside Drive. As you can see, the access point is for all intents and purposes the same point of access that is currently exists for the Pizza Hut. It is directly in line with the McDonald's access point across the street. So again, traffic would either enter making a right-hand turn here into the site, or a left-hand turn into site off of Ridgeside Drive. Traffic would then immediately bear to your right, and essentially have two options to either park in one of the in the parking bays around the site, or in front of the building based on what is available, or access the drive-through, which is located right here. So it starts out as a single lane, which comes around along South Main Street here, expands out into 2 lanes along Ridge Road here. And then you get to the order points that's roughly 8 or 9 cars back from the pickup window. There is a canopy proposed over the order points, something that the Chick-fil-A instituted a year or 2 back, and has been installing them on existing sites as they can, have a program for that, as well as all new sites are proposed to have these canopies to protect from elements, and as well as protect their employees, their team members as well. So after after ordering the food here, cars would merge back together in a singular lane, come around the corner here, and pull up to the pickup window. Some room to sort of pull forward as needed, and then make the right and leave the site, or they could come around and park if they so chose to do. Trash enclosure is kind of located and tucked back here in the corner, with trash enclosure pad, as well as you'll notice a little box off the rear here that's just an exterior unconditioned shed for storage of maintenance, pressure washers, storage of salt for sidewalk, those kind of things to be installed, the kind of things you install place in your shed at home kind of thing. A couple of things to point out from the overall property standpoint, which I probably should have done first. Overall site boundary is 1.09 acres. The existing acreage is 0.92, which is this line here. Chick-fil-A is working through a purchase agreement with the town to purchase an additional 0.17 acres, which is in this area right here. Which at this point includes the drive-through, and as said, then meets all applicable setbacks, and then leaves still a good piece of town property along here between proposed right-of-way line and South Main Street. Building itself is approximately 4,000 square feet. Of note, this is a non-prototype Chick-fil-A building, so it's a custom building. It's slightly smaller than what Chick-fil-A would typically propose. Usually typically closer to 5,000 square feet, but was customized for the size of this property. Parking space wise, we are currently proposing 37 parking spaces around the site, as well as, and I have the exhibit showing, it was also in your packet, 32 stacking spaces from the pickup window back to the order point, or excuse me, the entry to the drive-through. Of note here, and you'll note that this drive-through, and you probably noticed in other Chick-fil-A's you frequented, that it's isolated around the perimeter and isolated from the parking fields, such that customers who park in this area are not required to cross the drive-through lanes to enter into the main entrance of the building. Also note, we have pedestrian connectivity through this area here to the existing sidewalk that is located along Ridgeside Drive here. As far as stormwater management, I guess John and Barney, I don't know if you've talked to Martin yet today, but Martin Covington with Carroll County called me just after lunch today to say that he was writing the concept stormwater approval letter. So as of the writing of the staff report, that was not available. So, however, the conditions need to be read, but just wanted to note that that was being approved, and that letter was being written by Mr. Covington today. So to point out the particular measures, we are proposing 2 microbioretention facilities. There's a large one shown in this sort of lime green area here along Ridge Road, as well as a small one, diamond-shaped, and kind of alongside between the parking and the drive-through stacking lane. Again, if you're familiar with the area, there's a large swale that parallels the road here, which is the outfall, or where the stormwater management would just discharge into, from the microbioretention into that swale that I just specified. Other items of note, we worked with the town to provide a landscape plan and lighting plan in keeping with the town ordinances and requirements. There's a proposed freestanding monument sign that I have images for, that was also should have been in your packet as well, located here, as well as a 50-foot flagpole that is located in this general vicinity. I think that's for the most part what I wanted to hit on the site plan. I will note, deliveries are proposed or anticipated off hours, typically early morning hours, prior to opening, and done via a key drop when there's no one at the restaurant and no one parked in the parking field. Here, just quickly showing site plan. It's the same as the rendering. A little tough to see here, but again, it was in your packet and showing the 32 stacking spaces, back to the entry point to the drive-through. Signage-wise, as I mentioned, pointed out those 2 locations of the flagpole and the proposed monument sign. So just showing those images, and happy to answer again any questions as we go through. Elevations 2 as well were in your packet, but just including them here to show for the visual. So showing the 4 sides here, the 2 long sides, this being the main front and your main door. You'll see the pickup window as you face on this side, and then this would be, again, the rear of the building where cars would come around the backside and then line up for backside for the drive-through and line up at the pickup window. These are the 2 short faces here. So this being the pickup window side, facing Ridgeside Drive, and then this would be the side facing Route 27 or Ridge Road, and showing the colors here with the color palette for record. Just to give you an idea of what the canopies that I was just discussing would look like, here is a couple of perspectives of the pickup, or excuse me, the order point canopy here, as well as the pickup window canopy right over here, as well as over here. And then last but not least, trash enclosure elevations. So it'd be a brick, aesthetically pleasing brick enclosure to completely encapsulate the dual gates here, as well as there will be screening as shown on the rendering to cover, to sort of screen the backside of the enclosure from the road. With that, like I said, myself, Joe, Brooks, and Brent are here to answer any questions that you may have. And again, appreciate the opportunity to present this plan. And again, for the record here, seeking concept site plan approval by the commission.
So Andrew, this is Councilwoman Pamela Reed. I have one quick question.
Sure.
Looking at the APFO standards, it appears that everything has been met except for roads and traffic control. So if you could touch base on that and just briefly talk about what potentially would Chick-fil-A have to do to make that adequate?
So yeah, I'll start, and then again, Joe Collegero with the traffic group is here as well to I guess augment any additional or add any additional comments. So I mean, at this point, a traffic study was prepared, and as noted in the study and in coordination and discussion with the town and the town's traffic engineer, there is some mitigation that will be required. At this point, we were trying to get a call beforehand, but anticipated a call with the appropriate folks with the town to discuss those mitigation requirements and come to an agreement. Will happen here in the coming weeks here, week or two. But at this point, it would we would be asking it to be a condition of approval, and certainly, as noted, condition to be addressed prior to final site plan approval. Joe, did you have anything else to add to that?
Good evening, everyone. Joe Collegero with the traffic group. Barney and I have been discussing a lot, so it may actually be appropriate for Barney to chime in. I'm more than happy to provide some details or answer any questions as needed. But this may be a good opportunity for Barney to fill in, or Barney, if you want me to fill in everyone, I'm more than happy to do so as well.
I'd be glad to chime in. Thanks, Joe. And I apologize, Andrew, Joe, and Chick-fil-A that we didn't get a meeting ahead of this meeting. But we're still in the works. That is why it's a contingency on the staff report. There's some talks about maybe limiting the left turn movement out of Ridgeside Drive on the Main Street by putting a curb across there and, make it a right turn in, right turn out, with a potential for a future circle at the top of the hill where South Main Street extends, goes off to the dead end. So we're still working out those details, and so I think we need probably a couple more weeks just to kind of flush that out before we bring it back to the Planning Commission.
Barney, this is Bill. I think bottom line, I think what we anticipate or we suspect may be the case is that the popularity of Chick-fil-A versus maybe some diminishing popularity of Pizza Hut over time, it's going to be a significant difference. And this location is at a very critical point, a very vulnerable point in the entrance to the town. So to better understand what the differing volumes would be, I think is important in our consideration.
Sure. Yeah, and we have our traffic consultant also reviewing Joe's report, and so again, we're trying to finalize the details, but that's what we have so far.
Okay.
So if I could chime in one more time, this is Councilwoman Pamela Reed. Watching the Facebook feed, there are some concerns that parking is inadequate. So if you could address that. And Barney, with this parking that they've suggested, is it a waiver or are they within town code?
So as far as the parking, there's two ways the parking is calculated. By the number of tables they have, they did limit the number of tables to the parking. So that meets it. The other way that's calculated is by the size of the building. And this facility is geared more for drive-through than, you know, people who park in there and going inside. So that's the reason why they have more stacking spaces that we counted towards that parking, or we suggest counting towards that parking to account for that. But if they had 120 seats inside, then no, it definitely would not be. But there's a limit to the number of tables inside, so that would limit how many people can be in there.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
So I think, Barney, the other question is if they feel like it's going to be predominantly drive-through, what's the orientation of the menu boards? Could those be seen off of Ridgeview or off of South Main? Because that's been a concern with our other fast foods and takeout places and menu boards, to the extent to which they cannot be seen by the primary adjacent streets.
Maybe Andrew can answer that.
So, Mr. Butts, if you wouldn't mind, what is specifically, help me understand the concern with the visibility of the order points?
The concern is, can people who are driving on Ridgeview or South Main see the menu boards? Or at least what's being displayed on the menu boards?
So you wouldn't see the menu boards until you approach them. I mean, Chick-fil-A has other means and methods as far as the Chick-fil-A app and whatnot, and menus to access and review. But as far as visibility, the site plan is up here. The order points are located right here, which is where the menu boards will also be beneath the canopy. And so if you're asking if there's visibility from Ridgeside, again, I mean, it's kind of directly in line with the building here. And so, it's 100 or, I don't want to, make up numbers, but 100 or so feet away from this area, and then certainly a little bit further to Main Street here.
Our concern is digital display and potential distraction of drivers.
Gotcha. So yeah, so it's screened. It's again in line with the building here. It is screened along the Route 27 edge. It is considerable distance from Route 27, being that there's this large existing swale that's here. So we believe in it. It's in a good spot. I mean, all things considered, considering all the other items that we need to take into account, laying out the site.
Andrew, this is John Breeding. I think the concern is for people driving by being distracted. So I think if we could provide some kind of larger screening on that side of the menu board area, so people on 27 aren't distracted by the illumination of those signs, I think is the biggest concern.
Yeah, that's no problem.
So I'm going to raise another question. I noticed in the write-up that in preparation of the site, I believe you were saying that there would need to be the sacrifice of 3 grown mature trees. And I'm wondering if your group is prepared to replenish those trees somewhere else near the property or elsewhere in the town.
We are prepared to work through the applicable forest conservation ordinances that include the removal of those trees to meet the requirements.
Okay, because if we're going to take those down, we want to have others replace them somewhere.
Are there any other questions?
I have a question that's a little bit relevant. So I think you had mentioned earlier a landscaping design or something that Chick-fil-A usually does. And it appears, I assume these are trees on your this plan. Is that right? Or
Yes, ma'am. The green circles are the proposed landscaping trees around the perimeter as well as in the
okay.
interior landscape islands.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So if I can address one more thing, and I think I'm beating myself up here because I'm watching Facebook. But now people are addressing concerns over the amount of, I guess, cars allowed in the drive-through, basically questioning, is 37 going to be enough? And this is not a question, but a statement. I would say, look at the McDonald's drive-through, and sort of compare. Looking at the configuration of this Chick-fil-A drive-through, in my opinion, it works a lot better than the McDonald's drive-through.
Pam, if I could make a correction, in the report, the stack says 32 cars, not 37.
Yeah, all right. I think that's considerably a lot. I can't imagine that this particular drive-through configuration would exceed that.
The only one that I could think of that would be close to this one, and I don't know if you can answer this, whoever's Chick-fil-A, is the stack that is you see at the Chick-fil-A on Urbana Pike. That has a fairly large stacking as well. Is that about the same amount that you anticipated, or can you kind of?
Sure. So I can't necessarily speak specifically to Urbana Pike. We did, and Joe, feel free to
jump in.
Yeah, please jump in. I don't recall off the top of my head that the all three sites we studied, or Mr. Calogero studied 3 sites, okay, and their applicable stacking. So I'll let him jump in.
Yeah, so we did as part of the request for the traffic impact study, we did look at 3 additional sites to help with not only the trip generation for this site, but also the drive-through stacking to help give you guys a comparables. So we studied the Chick-fil-A in Reisterstown, which is a store that's 1,100 square feet larger. The Chick-fil-A in Eldersburg, which is about 900 square feet larger. And then the Chick-fil-A in Frederick, unfortunately, it's not the one on Urbana Pike, but we studied the newer one, okay, on Route 26 in Monocacy. That's another 5,100 feet larger. And the queuing from those stores, which again are larger, would the maximum queues that we observed would easily fit within these storage spaces that we have here. So we feel very comfortable based on these studies that this one would work out okay. Now granted, who knows if there's going to be a time where there is going to be an overflow. We do expect that. People do expect that, but it's usually pretty quickly handled through the drive-through. Because I don't want to come here and say, yes, every single day it's going to work out perfectly. There may be a day or two where there is some excessive queuing.
As far as the building itself, Chick-fil-A is very concerned environmentally. Is this a LEED certified building? Is there any?
I probably could jump in here, but I'll maybe give Brent with Chick-fil-A who's here a chance to just say hi and respond to that question.
Okay.
Sure. Hi, Madam Chairman. This is Brent Evanston. Good evening, everyone. Regarding being a LEED building, this is not proposed to be a LEED building.
Okay.
We do have LEED concepts, or we have things we put in our building that you could say are considered LEED in regards to energy management, things like that, from a efficiency standpoint for some of our mechanical equipment, but nothing that we're representing here today we could say are LEED items.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I did have I just wanted to mention, I did have a citizen contact me earlier in the day. I think Pam might have addressed his concerns about the parking and possibly needing a waiver to support that reduction in parking to support the overall site. So I think his questions have been answered through this Facebook post through Pam. So Pam, thank you for sort of fielding those information coming in there. So thank you.
Are there any other questions or concerns at this time?
My only other concern is the monument sign. Andrew, can you bring that picture back up again? So again, I know the height of this sign is 25 feet tall, and it looks like it's a manual message board. It's not a electronic message board, right? Correct, Andrew?
Yes, that's correct.
It's just a manual letters. They'll have to go out there and insert the letters as needed. I just wanted to let the planning commission, comprehend the height of the sign and make sure that that's. Can you kind of show back to the plan exactly where that sign is going to be located on the site again?
Sure. Yeah, it's located right here. So I mean, to note, I mean the max height for a sign is 25 feet. I do acknowledge that the monument type sign requirements that were placed into your code, recently over the last, I mean, it was 6 months or so. But it is a considerable distance from the road edge. We want to maintain visibility of that sign from Ridge Road.
I just want to bring that to their attention. That's all.
Thanks.
Okay, we're still working on and looking at the staff report. The traffic right now is considered inadequate, but we're working on that. And that would, you resolving or mitigating that by the time the final, before an approval, correct?
Correct. That is correct.
Has Roads looked at this at all?
A plan was forwarded to them, I think at the last submission. I'm not sure. Have they met as a committee since then? I'll have to confirm that was forwarded to them, but I'm 99% sure that was forwarded to the commission.
I do know they have a plan, yes. They've had it for a couple months, but I don't know when their last meeting was offhand.
And I have not heard any correspondence from them related to the plan.
Okay. I want to keep in mind that this is a concept, and we will be addressing a lot of different things during the course of their this project, and it is not a final site plan, so it will come again, and there will be a public.
The monument sign, 25 feet, that seems very large, very, very tall.
It does meet our code in the
It's in our code.
in our CC zoning, which this is zone CC.
Okay.
It is considered an industrial, a commercial application. I can review that again, but I'm pretty sure that is what was approved by the planning commission.
It's okay, you don't have to bother, just
No, I understand. I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention as well.
get what you pay for.
Are there any other questions or comments? Pam, has anything come in again on Facebook Live?
So the only thing that I can see is one person wants to know if the existing trees will be torn down and replaced, or will they be part of the future plan?
I think they addressed that, stating that they are aware, yes, there will be 3 trees taken down. However, they are going to replace them. Plus they have all the trees that are around the outside of the border of the property. But they would be replacing those or putting them somewhere else.
So
That's it.
I can respond to this, Pam. So we'll have to go through a process through Carroll County and the approvals of the Forest Conservation, and along with the Department of Resource Management, we'll have to grant a waiver, which from my understanding is something that is a difficult process, but depending on condition of the trees, et cetera, play into what has to be done. But I got the impression from the county when I spoke to them about this specific item is that that waiver would probably be approved, and then they would have to replenish with a forest bank within Carroll County to offset the loss of those trees. So that's through the Carroll County process, and they have to apply for that. And that was one of the major comments from the Forest Conservation reviewer for the county. And Andy's aware of that requirements.
Thanks, John.
Yep.
Anything else? Any other comments or questions?
I think the only other remaining question is, Barney indicated that there was still some consideration with regard to APFO roads and traffic control devices. Is there a time factor or a projection on when that might be clear or there might be a decision?
Again, we're going to be working over it the next week or two, trying to finalize what we're, planning to do.
Okay. All right. Good. Thanks.
Barney, I think it's fair to say that we're pretty close. I just don't want people to think that we're far apart. I think we're really close on where we need to be.
Well, Joe, before you speak, if you can introduce yourself so people understand who's talking.
Sure. Sorry about that. Joe Colagero with the traffic group.
No worries.
Thanks.
Seeing no other comments or questions, concerns, nothing from the public. Is there a motion for a recommendation for the staff recommendation?
I'll make a motion. I motion that the planning commission, I motion conditional approval of the concept site plan for the proposed Chick-fil-A located at 1705 Ridgeside Drive, Mount Airy, Maryland, subject to all town and county reviewing agency comments being addressed. In addition, the approval of all related traffic control improvements deemed necessary by the town traffic consultant and town staff must be addressed.
Is there
I'll
a second?
second
Okay.
I'll second it.
You got that, John?
Yep.
It's been moved and seconded that we take the staff recommendation for conditional approval of the concept site plan for the proposed Chick-fil-A with all related traffic control improvements deemed necessary by the town's traffic consultant and town staff. I will now do a roll call vote. Lindy?
Say aye.
Judy?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Leslie?
Aye.
Myself, aye. Okay, you have your conditional approval.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
We're
evening.
looking forward to it.
Yep. Have a great night.
You too, thank you.
If your agenda item is over, if you could exit the meeting would be gracious.
The next agenda item is the Peacock Center. It's the portion of parcel B and F a proposed outside seating area and additional parking spaces to provide for the proposed outside dining area. The Peacock Center is, this is actually, we're talking about outside Five Guys. John, do you want to present this or?
Yeah, so again, you guys should have received a plan showing the red line markups on that. Kind of shows, you know, it's tough to see on here. And I logged off my other computer and I can't pull up my item from my other computer, so I apologize. But there's an outside eating area that'll be surrounded by metal railing that'll match what's currently on the parcel, which is like a 6-bar steel welded steel railing system, which meets Carroll County code. I do have Tom Hilton is along this part of this meeting as well. He is the owner developer, I guess. Tom, what is your representation of the?
I'm the property manager.
Property manager, okay. And they are removing 2 existing parking spaces, and they're providing those 2 replacement spaces along with 2 additional spaces to offset the additional parking that would be required by this outside eating area being added. They're also removing an existing island down by the drive-through area of the old bank that was there to make better traffic flow. I think overall they've been doing a lot of rehab to that building, and I wish the pictures that I took earlier I could present. They've redone their roof, redone some facade elements, and they're really trying to spruce up the whole facility. I think my understanding is, you know, if this does get approved or whatever, they're going to resurface or restripe everything, providing stop bars at all exit sign or stop signs at the exits. Tom has worked with the town to provide additional stop signs and stop bars as part of this moving forward with this plan.
Just wanted to make one clarification. The drive-through area down in the lower area, we aren't currently pursuing that.
You're not removing that existing island?
No, not at this time. We're waiting to see what kind of new tenant we get, and which, who knows how long that's going to be after this COVID nonsense.
Right. Okay, so I guess then the plan would be to revise that removal of that concrete island for the old drive-through for the bank that was there. And again, this didn't go through the normal review process because it is kind of such a small addition that it doesn't impact any stormwater management. It doesn't, the grading that's going to happen is very minimal, and town staff took it to say that it can kind of go to a more of a simplified site plan. I did present it to the chairperson to see if she was willing to allow it to move forward, and she requested it be presented to the Planning Commission for their approval.
John, quick question.
Go ahead, Bill.
It seems like this is basically the space of 2 existing parking spaces. So it's a fairly modest outdoor eating area.
Yes, sir.
What are the approximate dimensions?
It's 14 by 21.
Okay.
Yep, and I did send it's a rudimentary sketch.
Right. Right.
To show that. I have talked to Tom about what we're going to be replacing it with. And again, it's going to be more of what's on site currently. And again, I think it's six rails horizontally. It meets what Carroll County code is. And he said that he was going to be replacing it for like. So it's going to be a little bit more pleasant than what's currently shown on that sketch.
All right, cool. Very good.
Any questions? Concerns? You're that one parking space, I think that one of the parking, or maybe two, both of them are both handicap parking. So you're gonna move those handicap parking spaces over, right? So that they're there existing?
My understanding, I'm sorry, Tom, go ahead.
Actually, we're just using the first two non-handicap parking spaces. So
Oh,
the,
okay, okay,
which actually lines up quite nicely with the front door of the Five Guys. And that is going to be the only egress to the patio area is from the existing sidewalk, so that you can't access it from the actual parking area.
Correct.
okay.
And the other, you know, silver lining to this is they've had delivery trucks back into that gabled end that's facing the parking lot area.
Right.
This will eliminate that from being damaged in the future.
All righty. I don't have an issue with it. Any of the council commission members have any questions?
No.
Seeing none, I would like to entertain a motion for approval.
Make a motion that we recommend approval of the proposed additional parking spaces and the proposed outside eating area. The outside area cannot provide any more than 8 additional seats. The 2 additional parking spaces provided as part of the submitted site plan provide for the additional seating area.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the plan for the additional parking in the outside dining area at Five Guys. I will now do a roll call vote. Lindy?
I say aye.
Judy?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Leslie?
Aye.
Roxanne? Also in favor, so that is approved. Thank you so much.
One question, Roxanne, I didn't get who was the second because it was seem a battle there. I wasn't sure if it was Leslie or Bill.
It was Bill. I heard Bill first.
That's fine. I just want to make sure. No worries.
Okay,
Thank you.
all righty.
Thank you, Tom.
All right, thank you, guys. Have a good night.
You too, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience. Okay, the next thing under discussion is the discussion and recommendation of ordinance 2020-1, proposed amendment, part 2 of the town code 98-23 and section 112-37.2. We'd be creating a new section 98-61 entitled Mixed Use Development, MXD, in addition to creating a new section 112-37.2 entitled Mixed Use Development, MXD, amending Article 8, Special Exception. So, Tom, do you want to start off the discussion here? I think I've looked at everything. I think we pretty much took care of everything in our February meeting that we needed to.
Yeah, so this is just one last opportunity to go through, review it, make any final recommendations to the town council before the town council takes it up. What will happen after this meeting is that this is on the agenda for the town council's May 4th meeting to reintroduce. Now, what will happen is the original as introduced will be reintroduced. That resets the 75 days that's under our charter for the town council to act on an ordinance. They have to do that within 75 days of introduction. But in addition, either on Monday or the following month, your recommendations, meaning these red lines, as we might amend them tonight, will be forwarded to the town council along with a staff report, essentially saying these are the recommendations attached. And in all events, the town council on May 4 will not only reintroduce the ordinance as originally introduced, but we'll set a public hearing on that for the following month. So for the June meeting, they'll have a public hearing to get public comment. And then perhaps that night, or because this is a very lengthy ordinance, perhaps even after that, they'll chew on that. That's up to the town council. But But the point is that even beyond tonight, there obviously will be probably substantial public input and further discussion, maybe even further revision by the town council. So.
Okay, thank you. Any of the commission members want to weigh in on this?
The highlighted areas that in yellow are where the last set of changes took place from the last meeting, which I guess was at the end of February, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, February 24th. So that's where I think probably most of the substance is in terms of the changes from the last time. I can review those if you'd like.
Let's do. Yeah.
So on my copy anyway, page 3 of 17, there was much discussion about an initial proposal that the MXD have required 10% of the net developable acreage as a percentage. Instead, I think what everybody desired was what I think I've written here, and that is for MXD, we're going to kind of change the dynamic there and make it 10% of the total gross acreage of the project. And then, of course, that necessitated those changes there that I've highlighted. You'll see at the very end, I did have a question there. I kind of wanted clarification on when Don and I report back to the town council as to what your recommendations are. And that is, I wasn't sure if the planning commission was recommending that the percent open space for MXD would likewise be subject to this adjustment provision. That is to say, if you look at paragraph 2 or subsection 2, that is, I believe, existing language that was already in place. And of course, now you've kind of changed a little bit of the dynamic for MXD. The question is, do you want subsection 2 to apply to MXD, or are we going to treat MXD differently than the other categories by not allowing an adjustment to those percentages? I took from our last conversation that this adjustment flexibility could, why not have it apply to the MXD, even though you're kind of configuring MXD a little differently. But I wasn't sure, and I wanted to make sure of that I was correct. My hunch was correct about that before, kind of moving on from there.
That's what I thought. Does anyone else on the commission have any comments on what Tom just said?
That was my assumption as well.
Leslie?
I'm just not sure. Unfortunately, I was not able to print out that MXD, and I can't pull it up on my computer right now because of Zoom. All I know is we agreed with, and it's in the minutes, the 10%, 10% of the gross will be used for open space. So I'm not exactly certain what Tom's talking about.
So let me just read to you at least the relevant parts of subsection 2. And this, again, already exists in the code.
Right.
A request for the adjustment of the above percentages can be made to the Planning Commission based upon any unique features of the parcel. The Planning Commission, in its discretion, may grant an adjustment to the percentages set forth in Table 1. Okay, and then I would add the new language to that. and the open space percentage for the MXD as set forth in subsection 1 above, if it is established at by the property owner that the adjustment will be more beneficial to the needs of the community, etc. So in other words, it's a subsection that allows you as the planning commission to alter the percentages in what currently exists in table 1. Okay, we were going to add MXD to table 1, but obviously the decision was to go away from having MXD geared toward the percentage of net developable acreage, instead make it gross. All I'm asking, and I'm right about it, you wanted the same flexibility, I assume, for MXD as you would want for those listed in table 1.
Right. I mean, because we would have the authority to do it.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see, kind of scrolling through here. Book. Some of these are not super substantive, so even where I have some highlights, I'll skip through these. They're kind of just a word here or there. Let's see. I can find another. Just bear with me, I'm scrolling here. I've got to reduce my documents so I can see you all as well. Let me see.
I think the next substantial one was 10 of 17. We're talking about the drive-throughs.
Yeah, exactly correct. Yep. So thank you, Roxanne. So if you go to that page, 10 of 17, and I'll read it, Leslie. So there's much discussion on what do we do with drive-throughs and how do we go about limiting the number of them. So I think this was consistent with what we had discussed, but obviously you can tweak it as you see best. So this is what I've written. No more than one drive-through shall be permitted for the first 50,000 square feet in footprint of commercial space, and thereafter no more than one drive-through for each additional 50,000 square feet in footprint of commercial space shall be permitted. And the Planning Commission shall have the power to further limit drive-throughs in terms of their number, layout, and location, taking into account their impact on vehicular and pedestrian traffic. So in other words, it puts a limit on it, but also gives you all the right in a given case to even put more restrictions on it. I will say that in drafting this new subsection about drive-throughs, I did consult with Barney, so I don't take full credit for this, but Barney greatly assisted me in this.
So I thought that we had actually decided to completely take drive-throughs out of the ordinance, and then that we would just decide on using the pattern book. Does anybody else? I mean, and I thought that was it, what was in the minutes, because it was like Scott made the motion, and there was that extra. There was that second sheet where all the staff recommendations were, and I thought that we just took all the drive-through stuff out. Does anybody remember that?
Well, I think I can speak to that. So let me find it. So we had a number of uses, permitted uses, where we specifically said in listing those, you know, with drive-through or without drive-through.
Right.
So I did eliminate those from that list, but I thought that what went hand in hand with that, and again, I could be wrong, was that we did want to have some limitation with the ability to be flexible and adjust to the number of drive-throughs that would be permitted within, you know, a certain amount of commercial space. So I did eliminate them from the list of permitted uses, yes.
Okay. All right, so they're eliminated. So then that's consistent with what I remember. So you eliminated from the permitted uses, and then this is then almost sort of like a guideline, like if we decide
Yeah.
to have them, they can't be more than the first
Yeah.
50,000 square feet.
Yeah, I
Scott,
think
do you
just gives
have
you
any,
something.
sorry,
No,
I was
it's
just
all right.
wondering if Scott remembers this discussion because he made the motion.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember the discussion. I kind of lost the bubble on what you were citing that I'd said though.
No, did, about that we were removing the drive-throughs completely from the ordinance.
Right. If I recall, it was I think my motion had something to do with predicting whether or not what the conditions, the case-by-case basis, and the conditions that would surround whether a drive-through was a good idea or not. I think we were citing the Dunkin' Donuts drive-through. It seemed like a good idea, but looking at data, or looking at what currently is going on over at Dunkin' Donuts, we wouldn't have foreseen it, and maybe we could learn from different scenarios. I think that's what the reference was, and we took it out because we needed to look at it case by case, not to just make a claim, yes or no, if I recall.
Okay. So
Well, what
Tom,
Tom's recommending gives us extra leverage, so I think that was the main concern.
So Tom,
Yes.
the language says that so there could be one drive-through first 50,000 square feet.
In footprint, yeah, so commercial space, yeah.
Yeah. And then, but that's, again, sorry, I was having printer problems and
Yeah.
then I forgot.
Yeah, I can go through it again if you want.
Yeah, or I can look at it after, but then we'll be off the meeting. But basically, what you were just reading is sort of like a subsection or just a.
Yeah, it's a subsection of, we currently have in our ordinance, subsection E, called drive-through services. And there are a number of things that the code already says about that, because of the MXUCC.
Right.
That's where this all came about.
Yeah.
And then so I just added to that the notion that basically you only get one drive-through for each 50,000 square feet of commercial footprint, unless the planning commission desires to give you less than that, which it may further do in account of vehicular and pedestrian
Okay.
traffic. Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's good. Thanks.
Okay.
And then just scrolling down under now into the chapter 112 changes, which is zoning changes. Just because we hit this, if you look at page 12 of 17, you'll see that I've stricken through the words with or without drive-through services compliant with section 8, blah, blah, blah. That's been taken out, and that's why that's highlighted. I've highlighted a couple of additions that I think staff recommended the last time be added to this list. I think ultimately, despite a lot of discussion, the determination, I think, was to thereby, because we do this already in our code, felt more comfortable with listing the permitted uses, and that the developer felt he didn't really want that. But anyway, so I left that pretty much intact. Let's see. I also did say, however, at the very end of the permitted uses now on page 13 of 17, to give you all some more flexibility, and I think we did talk about this, I added another permissive use is any other uses not listed above that the planning commission determines are similar to and or compatible with the commercial uses set forth above. So it gives flexibility that I think the developer was looking for, but still vests in the planning commission that determination about, hey, is this a compatible commercial use, or is this really getting far afield from what we had an idea about when we listed permitted uses. So added that to, which was consistent, I think, with our discussion.
What did we keep for the building height? Did we keep height or did we change it to stories? I know we were talking about
Good
that and I
question.
can't remember.
Let me scroll. Let me see here.
We kept,
Uh,
I don't think it was changed. 14
Yeah.
of 17, H
Right.
have height.
Yeah, so this is 14 of 17 each. I think I have it highlighted, so I believe this, we took out, quote, or a maximum of 3 stories, so that it now just reads, no structure shall exceed 40 feet in height. I thought that was kind of the consensus of what folks wanted, figuring, 40 feet,
Okay, I just, because the thing that stuck in my mind, and I even thought about this after, and I can't remember if we'd resolved it. We talked at one point about something that's called like a, not sort of like a rooftop deck or rooftop,
Yeah.
I forget the name of it. But I was thinking, and this obviously doesn't prevent that, but doesn't make it permissible. But, depending on where you are in a development, that could infringe on people, like if you're on the edge of the development. But I guess we don't have to decide that because that can be part of a pattern book.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be great for the people who live there, but it might not be great for other people. And, that's okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. Just scrolling back, I did catch another one along the way here. Page 13 of 17, we had some discussion about uses and whether or not buildings exceed 25,000 square feet, but up to 65,000 square feet of floor space. I think there had been some discussion here, and the way I have it now reading is one building one building use may exceed 25,000 square feet up to 65,000 square feet of floor space. Any additional uses that exceed 25,000 square feet shall require planning commission approval. So there was slight modification to that one as well. I don't have great recollection of that one, but I do have it highlighted. So
Yeah. And you said anything above 25,000, we must approve.
Right.
Yes.
I think that's what we just said.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I think that's it. I think those are the major changes there. Hotels, there's a lot of back and forth about that. I think we fixed that one. Hotels, I think, are now permitted. Let me just verify this. Yes, are now a permissive use. That was apparently a big deal for the developer, I think, if I recall correctly. Anyway, those are all the changes that are of any real significance.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments?
There's a comment in the comments from Facebook.
You want to do that, Leslie?
It says, I don't like the idea that any project could just override the amount of space we set aside as open space just by getting the council to sign off on it. It allows a single council to override existing town code. I'm not sure exactly
understanding what they mean.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they mean either. And I don't even know if it's applying. That was at 8:41. So that was just a minute ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I assume it was regarding MXD.
What I don't like about this is you've got one developer dictating what he wants and we're going along with it.
Well, we were that's not completely true. There was a lot of pushback that that I certainly had with him, both at the workshop and at the last meeting. And so, you know, I remember me, I don't remember what everybody else said, but I remember that there were some things that are not in here because of what we, you know, what we wouldn't put in here.
So Leslie, I would agree with you. I would also say that I commend the Planning Commission for not writing an MXD for one specific developer, but writing an MXD that could potentially work for the entire town or parts of the town. So it was not directed towards one developer, in my opinion.
No.
Can I chime in? I don't mean to chime in, but I do see that the Facebook person also says here that they're concerned that it says that is in fact what I believe people in Mount Airy really care about, basically never becoming Alney. They don't want to become Alney, I guess is what they're concerned about, open space. But I think as the council and the planning commission, I think we're very diligent about open space. And I think it is a big issue, especially when most developments can't, any residential development can help happen currently until we get out of a deficit. So I think we are looking at that.
Okay, we don't see any other comments or comments from the commissioners. Tom, we just need to vote on recommending this to the council, correct?
Yeah, recommending with your changes or proposed changes, yes.
All right. Do I hear a motion for that effect?
I would move that we recommend this to council with the proposed changes that we're going over tonight.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we recommend the proposed ordinance 2020-1 to the town council with the corrections from the planning commission. All those in favor, I will do a roll call vote. Wendy?
Yay.
Judy?
Yep, I agree.
Yes?
Yes.
Scott?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Leslie?
Aye.
And myself, aye. So the motion passes. We will send with recommendations to the town council. And we'll have it at the next meeting. And I also want to reiterate what Pam said. I appreciate all the hard work that the commission has done on this. And I think we worked very hard to try to make this something that can be used across the board. Next, John, you want to take this?
Yeah, so this is a very small sketch you guys got. It's a parcel over off of Twin Arch, off of Century Drive. It's called Twin Arch Industrial Subdivision. It's where the mini storage is currently. And this is an amended plat. I brought this in front of you. I also presented this to, it's more for informational. It's just a lot line adjustment to sort of separate 7A out of what we're taking a portion of 7 and putting it into 8, creating 8A, which is consolidating all the mini storage onto one lot. Remaining would be lot 7A of 2.013 acres for future development and a future site plan approval when that was to come to be. So this was more for informational. If anybody has any questions, I could answer them probably. If not, Ron Thompson is still on the meeting who could possibly answer anything that I cannot. Any questions?
I'll just ask one question. John asked me about this. He said, you know, I could just go ahead and do this myself, but I think something like this needs I want the eyes of the planning commission on it, and that's why I asked him to please bring that to us. If you have any thoughts about that, please, let me know, but I just think it's better if the planning commission has eyes on something like that.
John, just to clarify and confirm that this is not an increase in total acreage. It's just a reapportionment of it.
That's correct. So lot 8 is of course getting bigger, but it's taking an equal amount of the removal of 7 into 8 to
Yeah.
make all the items. So basically the owner owns both parcels 7 and 8, and he's reconfiguring 8 to be encompassing all of the mini storage.
Right.
So that it leaves this separate parcel for future development of some type of building there, whatever they choose to do within that. I think that's industrial zone there.
Where is their office located? I thought it was there.
The corporate office might be at the actual mini storage facility. There's nothing currently, because if you come up the Backacre Circle, you kind of look straight ahead, you look at our water tower off in the distance,
Yeah.
and the mini storage buildings, and then
Yeah.
that big open lot right there is really what lot 7A is currently. It's just that
Okay.
the property lines up the middle
Okay.
there. 7 is to the right and 8 is to the left. But this amended plat, again, one of the items that as the a chairperson could just sign off on it, but Roxanne was trying to be transparent so that she
Yeah.
would get your approval on the same items.
Yeah.
It's very minor in nature. I brought it to her in advance saying, it's minimal. There's nothing really impacting. And when that site comes in for development, it's going to come in front of the planning commission for
Mhm.
review and approval, concept and
Sure.
final.
True. Okay.
So it's really, she was looking out for you guys as well.
Thank
And I
you.
wasn't
Anybody-
behind you.
Does anybody have any objections to this? It's not an informal. We don't need a motion or anything. Does
Yeah.
anybody have any? Okay, fine. All right. So next are future items. John?
Yeah, so our future items, of course, we're going to be next month, we'll be talking about the NP zoning, the neighborhood professional. There's some slight adjustments to the total square footage of the redo if the building is raised. Currently, the owner of that parcel, Dr. Schwartz, is looking to develop that little house that's been vacant for many, many years. And he's really wanting to try to achieve a 2,500 square foot footprint. Again, this text amendment would impact, I think it's like 6 properties currently, but all the other 6 properties have not been vacant for over 7 years. So it's not really specific to one property. It would be throughout the NP zoning, but only one property really is impacted currently as it's written. In addition to that, I didn't get it on here, but was talking to Mr. Ron Thompson. I had to look and confirm that we do have all approvals to bring in the First Amendment of Lot 8 in the Twin Arch Business Center, the Business Park, excuse me, and also Lot 17 in the Twin Arch Business Center would be also being presented next month. And I feel like there's something else on the top of my head, but not drawing it out right at the moment. So, but I'll try to get an agenda out as soon as possible. And I appreciate everybody's time during this Zoom meeting. I think it's gone fairly smooth.
Okay, so
Real
Go
quick,
ahead.
Roxanne, I want to thank everyone for being open to this meeting format. Obviously, at the last council meeting, I expressed that I felt like town business should still move forward. So thank you all for your willingness to actually do this.
you're welcome. New and different age, we're learning a lot of different new
Right.
things. Our next meeting is supposed to be Monday, May the 25th.
Which is now the 18th because the 25th is Memorial Day, right?
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask.
Yes.
All right,
The agenda didn't reflect that. My apologies.
all righty.
Went out prior to me realizing that.
We'll
Thank you,
put that
Deborah.
down. And we will find out later, I guess, whether that will be live or Zoom.
Right.
Anybody want
Hopefully it will
to?
be live.
I think it's
Probably
going
not
to
going
be.
to be live for a long time, Roxanne.
I agree.
Probably.
I mean, the zoo we're talking about what the governor's already saying, so.
Right.
My question to that, and I just want to get everybody's thoughts. Was the email packets acceptable? Would you rather have something paper, be it all delivered to you prior to the staff report, the staff meeting, or planning commission meeting? Does anybody have thoughts on that?
Well, for me, I don't have a color printer, so
Okay.
anything that I need to look at that's got color, I really need a packet.
Okay.
But I don't need, so it's not everything, but certain things would be very helpful.
I would
to
agree
have.
with Leslie, and also the site plans. I mean, I couldn't print them out. If I printed them out, I couldn't see them. So what was the point?
Yeah, I didn't print those because of that.
So John, I'm a packet person. I like hard copies. I don't like to read from the computer, so yeah. I appreciate you delivering my packet.
I printed mine out, and it's like I printed out what I could, and some of the motions I didn't make anything because I was like I couldn't find it. It was hard on the website to find stuff. I had to go back and check, and I started looking at this early, so it was a little frustrating.
I will try to get the packets out early, and to that respects, I wonder, Roxanne, do you want to mention anything about the 11 by 17s? Do you think they met the needs that you have, or do you want to see a full set of plans?
I liked the 11 by 17. I can follow it. It's big enough. And when they come on the screen, which they should be on the screen, right, then you get to see the larger one. But the large packet plan style of plans to me is very cumbersome. But the 11 by 17 was good for me, and I can sit there at my desk with them, and I'm not, the big papers aren't in everybody's face, or that's just my opinion.
Right. I would agree. Even though I didn't have the 11 by 17, I agree that would be a good option.
So on the next packets, we will try to do, if there are any plan drawings, I'll try to get them printed out at 11 by 17, and also have them in an email format as well. And we'll see how everybody likes that. Martina, you had a question. You had your hand raised. You want to take yourself off on mute? Did we lose her? She had her. Can you
have a question, Martina?
Martina had a question.
I don't see her there anymore.
Yeah, she's here.
She's here. She has to be unmuted.
Sorry, my internet keeps going in and out. I was just going to say I love packets too. So John, you can just throw one at my front porch if you can. That would be great. Sorry, my internet keeps going. And
yeah, Martina, I think I'm having the same trouble here. So what I was going to say is the only thing I found cumbersome with using the electronic documents is the email of successive emails. I know that's the only thing you can do when you're sending that much documentation. But have we considered sharing it in like a Google Drive? Because I use Google Drive for a lot of things. I can't use it for work, but I use it for personal stuff, and it's fantastic. It's actually better than fantastic. So I was hoping that maybe if it's an opportunity, we could gravitate to putting a folder on Google Drive, and you just access that, and all your files are in one place, and they actually will preview it too. If you click on it, so you can actually see what it is that you're about to click on if the naming convention is not, fully clear. But is there an issue with that we could investigate?
I don't know, Tom, would we have an issue with the Google Docs?
For legality reasons?
Yeah, Tom.
Get unmuted, sorry. No, I mean, they have to be in some way shared with the public. I mean, they're there's nothing.
There could be a private folder and a public folder, right? So, I mean, the link, I get what you're saying. They have to be publicly available, but anybody who has the link can get to those documents, or if there's ones that they shouldn't have, we can password a separate folder. I mean, I do it all the time when I share documents with people.
Absolutely. You could do a link to the web on the webpage too.
Yeah, but then we
Yes, it'll go
still
right
have
to
the
it.
issue.
I'm sorry, we
still have
do
the
have it
issue
on the
if
town
some-
website. So it is all uploaded to the town website.
Mhm.
It's just making sure you had the right pathway to get to it. And I think, I mean, I was able to get to it right now. If you go to the town website, and Gina, you might be better directing it, but it's like, you go to the town of Mount Airy website, you go under Planning Commission and Departments, and you go under Documents, I think it is. Tell Mike to stay out of the meeting. Yeah. But
We still have the issue with Leslie and I mean, if we need some stuff that's color, we don't have it. I still prefer a packet, doing the 11 by 17.
I will still make
My
packets
opinion.
for everybody. I'll make packets for everybody, and we'll try the 11 by 17 this up and coming month. And we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Anything else? If nothing, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
But
I
I'm
motion
gonna-
to adjourn.
It's Lindy's. Has it been seconded?
Yes, Scott.
It's been moved and seconded by Scott and Leslie, but that we adjourn. All those, I'm just gonna do a voice on this. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed?
Never.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you all for your patience, cooperation. Thank the public for their patience and cooperation. See you on the 18th.
All right,
Thank
thanks.
you, Gina, for all your
Thank
help.
you.
Thanks,
Bye, guys.
Gina.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, everybody.